The truth occurs. The truth occurs.
Hi everyone, this is a kind of follow-up video to the one that I did with Karen about the Truth or Girls voting dilemma regarding the election coming up on May 2nd, and I said, well, maybe we should just vote for another party, and Karen said maybe you should just not vote at all. It's not that I don't agree with Karen, I agree with her on like a philosophical or ideological level. It's just that I'm a really practical person, so to me, you know, just not voting for ideological reasons is the same as not voting because you didn't want to miss your favorite TV show. Because what does it really accomplish? Does it make you any less of a slave if you don't vote? I don't know. As far as the candidates, we don't have very good options. I was surprised to find out that it's not a shoo-in for the Liberals. People are actually still willing to vote for Harper, even though he lost the confidence of the House and was found in contempt of Parliament. People are saying things like, well, he's doing a great job with the economy. What? Because Canada's not turning into a third world country as fast as the US? Last time I checked, we were still borrowing from private banks. But worse than that, Stephen Harper is a total globalist. Stephen Harper seeks majority to dissolve Canada in favor of North American Union. Sounds like maybe anti-Harper propaganda to some people, but what it says here is that he has been apparently directed by the principal funders of the Conservative Party of Canada, which are ideologically linked to the CFR, to assimilate Canada into a new, quote, Fortress New America, which is controlled by the U.S. political, military, industrial complex. The Council on Foreign Relations had instructed Harper to implement the plan by no later than 2010. Well, I guess he failed, but it's not too late to try again. And then on the other hand, you have Michael Ignatieff, who was never voted in democratically in the first place. Liberals could still govern if Harper wins minority. This guy is determined to be prime minister no matter what the government or the people say. He says that, okay, forming a coalition government is off the table. He's not going to do that, but he's still going to find another way to be prime minister even if Harper's voted in. He says, if the governor general wants to call on other parties or myself, for example, to try and form a government, then we try to form a government. So what's he saying? It's up to the governor general. So why do we even have these elections? I don't like the way this is going at all. I don't feel like any of these parties represent me. None of them want out of the war. None of them are talking about getting rid of, you know, the borrowing from private banks. And it gets even worse. I just found out, well, it's really official now. The American elections are totally rigged. A computer programmer called Mr. Curtis testified that the US elections are rigged and that US representatives tried to pay him to rig their election vote counts. The whole thing is rigged. What do? Do you just not vote? Well, Jason Sanch has come up with another solution, which would be to deregister yourself from the electoral list. Now here's his post on Facebook. Election night in Canada almost as entertaining as the playoffs. And what he says here is that the correct remedy for myself is to unregister as a voter. I know this sounds a bit unpatriotic and scary, but I'm not a pawn to a political system that is failing its people. If I don't exercise my right to choose not to choose between shit and more shit, then I don't have any choice at all and I remain a slave. By unregistering my vote, I'm casting a vote for none of the above. And he's even gone so far as to show you a sample letter of how to deregister yourself from the electoral list. Letter to Elections Canada, addressed to the Chief Electoral Officer of Canada. And here's part of what it says. You know, a citizen of Canada, and I truly believe that I serve best by having my name stricken from the elector registration. I understand that it's my right to just not vote, but feel that such an inaction does nothing more than show me to be apathetic and indifferent, which is anything but true. He says, I do not believe any individual candidate or party accurately represents me in this upcoming election. And I do not see a group of civil servants asking my permission to be my voice, but rather a group of corporate heads who demand my respect and my trust, my money and my vote, who sit above the citizens with whom they are equal and claim dominion over them. Respect and trust are earned, not demanded. As I do not respect or trust any political party or individual candidate, I refuse to allow my money and my vote to be used by any of them. By removing myself from the elector register, I am casting my vote of non-confidence in all parties. So I'm going to give you the link in case you'd like to deregister yourself from the list. And he mentions also that the government gets something like $2 for every registered voter. So you're also, going to deprive them of $2 if you don't, if you're not registered. But you can deregister yourself from more than that. If you really, want to take back your freedom, you can be a free man on the land. And this is what Rob Menard has done. Here's a copy of his book, With Lawful Excuse. His website is thinkfree.ca. So if you're really interested in this, he gives you a lot of practical advice that you can use. Here's one example. This is the Notice of Understanding and Intent and Claim of Right. This is actually like a kind of religious or philosophical issue for the people who do this. So you're under God's law, and God's law is love. The government doesn't serve this law, so you're not under their law. So you just remove yourself from their jurisdiction by claim of right. Also, here's a notice for revoking consent. Constructive notice of denial of consent. It says, I, so-and-so, do hereby lawfully, clearly, specifically, and unequivocally revoke and or deny consent to be represented, governed, or adjudged by other human beings. And there's more to it, but I'm just going to read you that part. You can also deregister your vehicle. Then you're not under the jurisdiction of, the police in terms of traffic tickets. And then you also implement a fee schedule so that if they mess with you, they have to pay for it. And then for things like the Medicare card, Rob is totally deregistered. He doesn't have a Medicare card, but he's put in a claim of right to have access to medical care. And when he broke his elbow, he says he went to the hospital and they took care of him. All this deregistering and freeman stuff, to be honest with you, is a little daunting to me, because Rob Menard is a particularly brilliant guy. And it seems to me that you have to be, like Rob Menard, almost a lawyer to actually understand this stuff and implement it successfully. But maybe that's not true. And if any of you have done any of this or are doing it, well, let me know how it goes, because I'd be interested to hear about it. So it just depends how far you're willing to go. But if you really, feel that you're being treated like a slave, I think actually we're not really slaves, we're like corporate employees. And it's by consent. Although the conditions of our employment are not exactly what I call satisfactory at this time. If you want to remove yourself and no longer be an employee, you do have that option. And if not, well, you can maybe just deregister yourself from the electoral list. I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do, but I'll let you know how it goes. Thanks for listening to me, and I'll see you next time.